Mr. Beast and Kobe Bryant are both examples of greatness. At just 25 years old, Mr. Beast has a net worth of $500 million and is considered the most successful YouTuber, while Kobe Bryant remains seen as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, celebrated not only for his unparalleled skill, but also for his ability to inspire others. What sets them apart is not just their remarkable success, but also their evident love for their work. The question is, can we learn from them secrets to greatness? Can we learn from them universal principles that don't just apply to basketball or YouTube, but to all fields? Well, using the framework from the book So Good They Can't Ignore You, I think we can. In this video, I will be showing you their 3 secrets to success and also breaking down in detail how you can apply them to your own field. Ready? Let's go. Well, let's start with secret number 1, and that is working hard. No, I'm just kidding, that's not it. Passion. No, that's also not the secret. The actual secret is that they both acquired a deep understanding of success in their fields. It's just astonishing how much time they invested in understanding their fields. Here are some examples.
We were 3 of us, and we basically talked every day for 1,000 days in a row and did nothing but just like hyper study like what makes a good video. We would just get on Skype every morning, and like some days like I'd get on Skype at 7 a.m. and I'd be in the call until like 10 p.m. and then I'd go to bed, I'd wake up and I'd do it again.
You can be on the wing, but there's a certain spot on the wing that improves your angle to drive to the basket. Understanding the momentum of the game, how to create momentum shifts, where momentum shifts come from, man, there's a lot of studying.
I know it kind of sounds obvious that if you want to be successful, you need to study success. But you would be surprised how many architects, developers, engineers, doctors don't take the time to figure out how to actually achieve success in their fields. And Kobe Bryant would just spend countless hours studying basketball. Now ask yourself, what is more difficult, basketball or architecture? And still, I bet that Kobe Bryant spent more time studying how to achieve success in basketball than many other architects studied their field. And so that is the perspective that you want to have. Success requires countless hours of hard work. But if you don't invest that hard work into the things that matter, you won't achieve success. And so ask yourself, how many hours have you spent studying success in your field? Here are some tips of how you can apply the first secret to your own field. Because when you start studying success, you'll probably hear many things like skills, network, contacts. You need to have a lot of contacts, credentials, degree. There are many things that seem to be important, but you need to figure out which are the most important ones. And so here's a tip. You can categorize all of these things into 3 buckets: ability, proof, and relationships. In ability comes your skills, your experience, but also your work ethic. And then you have something like proof. In many professions, you cannot just show your skills. You need to prove somehow that you have them. And for that, you need credentials or projects that you can point to, or a degree, for example. And then lastly are things like relationships, connections, and network, which are also important to achieve success. So as you start studying how to achieve success in your field, you can ask yourself these 3 questions. What are the skills that matter? What counts as proof of my abilities? What relationships could be useful? But it's very important that you don't get confused, because the thing that matters the most are your skills. If you somehow have relationships or a university degree, but you don't have any skills, those 2 other things won't help you in any way. So skill is the crucial and most important ingredient if you want to be truly great. And then of course, proof and relationships also matter, but they come in second and third. And so you probably start asking yourself, what are the skills that matter in my field? And it's like video games where you can have multiple skills and you have certain levels in your skills. But actually, you need to decide what are the skills that matter and which you will improve at. Because you cannot improve all of your skills at the same time and become really good at everything. So you need to decide, do I become really good at just one skill? Or is it better to be well-rounded and be good at some of the skills? Well, in the book So Good They Can't Ignore You, we actually get the advice that you should first identify what market you're in. And depending on what market you're in, that determines which skills you should improve to what extent. So there are 2 types of market, a winner-takes-all and auction market. And so a winner-takes-all market is characterized by many people trying to get into this field, but only selected few actually get in. So these are careers like screenwriter, fiction writer, actors, basketball, and musicians. And what is also special about these types of market is that often the winners are only a little bit better than the rest, but they get disproportional amount of the rewards. So let me give you an example. Let's say the average musician earns around 50K a year, while Taylor Swift earns 13.6 million per concert. That is 272 times more. And the question is Taylor Swift 272 times better than the average singer? Well, probably not. I wonder if this is controversial. And that is why this is called winner takes all market, because only the winners get in and they take all of the rewards. And what is special about the winner takes all market is that usually there's only one skill that matters. And so if you are in that market, you need to figure out what that skill is and how to become really damn good at that one skill. However, in an auction market, it's the opposite. So for example, developers, marketers, doctors, and lawyers are in an auction market where actually a combination of skills is what makes you valuable. So if you're a developer, you might think that what matters is your ability to write code, and that is true to a certain extent. As a developer, you need to be good writing code, but at a certain level, getting better at that skill is not what is going to make you more valuable. Actually, if you would acquire other skills like being really good at running meetings or being up to date about the newest technologies, also knowing a lot about business, it's actually a combination of any of these skills together with coding, which is actually what is going to make you more successful as a developer. And this applies to all types of jobs that are in an auction market. So how do you find out what skill actually matters? Well, the best and most reliable way is by talking to people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you. And that is actually what Kobe Bryant also did.
I went to Goat Mountain and I talked to Magic, Michael, Bird, Hakeem Olajuwon, Jerry West, Oscar Robinson, Bill Russell. So I would talk to them. What did you do? What were your experiences? So I went to them and started understanding the ins and outs of the game.
So the advice from these people is great because it is recent, up to date, and suitable for you, since they were only very recently where you are. Talking to these people doesn't only help you identify what are the skills that matter the most, but they can also later count as relationships for you to help you in the future of your career. All right, let me give you a quick summary of the secret number 1. The first secret is to acquire a deep understanding of how to achieve success in your field. You need to understand what are the skills, proofs, and relationships that matter, but above all, understand what the skills are. For that, identify in which market you are in. Talk to people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you in your career, and so identify if you need to be really good at one skill or achieve a combination of skills to become really valuable. Now that you know which are the skills that matter, let's talk about the second secret. And so what you can observe from people like Kobe is that they are just extremely good at what they do. But this is actually strange because most improve their skills very quickly at the beginning, but then stop improving at a certain point where they achieve the acceptable level. And that's where most people stay. But Mr. Beast and Kobe Bryant don't seem to hit this limit. How do they do that? Is it the water they drink? Well, the actual secret is also explained in this book. The author, CAL NEWPORT, explains the research-backed method to improve your skills. The secret lies in performance science. So scientists have been trying to answer the question, what creates masters? For example, chess grandmaster. And what they found out is that they had 10,000 hours of practice. But it turns out that's not enough, because they found other chess players that also had 10,000 hours but were not grandmasters. And so what is the difference between these two? The answer is that the grandmasters did 5 times more serious study of the game of chess than the others. What they did is deliberate practice. And deliberate practice is a targeted type of practice that pushes your skills to the limit, and that's why it's uncomfortable. And it includes also feedback, which can be from a teacher, but can also be any other type of feedback. This is the type of practice that is seen in all types of masters. That is also the difference between good musicians and great musicians. Good musicians practice a lot, but they usually practice the types of songs they already know. It's more fun, it's more comfortable. But great musicians practice deliberately to push their skills to their limit. And that's how they keep improving their skills year after year. And that is also what Kobe Bryant and Mr. Beast did.
Every single video, I was pushing the boundaries in some way. I was spending the last dime in my bank account, or I was just exerting the last brain cell I had left in my brain before I passed out over the course of a month to make the videos as good as possible.
And here I want to emphasize that passion was not their secret. They both loved their work, but they didn't rely on passion to practice really hard. Else, they wouldn't be able to practice that hard and for so long. Here's another example.
Are there times when you have to push yourself? Oh, all the time. Really? Literally all the time. Of course. But I can't think of anyone who's super successful that didn't.
Passion is great. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being passionate about your work, and that is very desirable, but it simply is not the secret to achieve success. And if you're not convinced, I made an entire video explaining why. You can find it in the description. All right, so we know that the second secret is deliberate practice. So how can you apply this to your own life? And remember, this is the key in which you improve your skills way faster than anybody else, because as CAL Newport explains in the book, musicians, athletes, and chess players, among others, know all about deliberate practice. But knowledge workers do not. Most knowledge workers avoid the uncomfortable strain of deliberate practice like the plague. So especially if you have an office job, deliberate practice can give you an edge over everybody else because nobody is doing it. And it's especially in these types of jobs where you can achieve greatness in less than 10,000 hours. The bad news is it's really hard. But the good news is that nobody is doing it. So first, you need to identify what are the skills that you want to improve. Then, ask yourself how you can practice them deliberately. And here is a tip. Create a deliberate practice project. A project is a great way to improve your skills because it's really good practice, but at the end, you have something that you can point to and serves as proof that you have acquired these skills. All right, so you want to improve your skills in a targeted manner, and you will be pushing your skills to the limit, so it will be uncomfortable. And ideally, you also have feedback, which can be from a teacher, but can also be any other type of feedback process, like for example, tests or quizzes. But since this is very uncomfortable, since it demands a lot of effort from you, you will need to create a certain structure to engage in it, because your mind will find all kinds of ways to distract you and keep you away from expanding all of that effort. So you need to have a structure to move away from the distraction and still do that deliberate practice. And so this is an example of how CAL Newport, the author himself, applied deliberate practice to his own life. He first found a very difficult paper that was very valuable in his research field. It served as the perfect deliberate practice project. Then he blocked in his calendar time to work on this project. And during that time, he would do nothing else but focusing completely on practicing deliberately. And he would tell himself, I don't care if I faint from the effort or make no progress. For the next hour, this is my whole world. And lastly, he would track the amount of hours that he did deliberate practice in a given month, so he could see how much deliberate practice he was doing on a monthly basis. And this is a very good strategy to push yourself to do as many hours of deliberate practice as you can. Certainly for me, that has made a huge difference. And so a last thing that I want to mention is that you should see the effortful discomfort that comes from deliberate practice as something good. The same way that bodybuilders associate the muscle burn with a sign that they are pushing their muscles towards growth, the same way you should see deliberate practice as a good thing. All right, let's recap the second secret, which is deliberate practice. Deliberate practice is the way in which you can continuously improve your skills and escape the acceptable level. So you improve a skill in a targeted manner, and that is very uncomfortable. And you also want to have feedback during these sessions to know if you're succeeding or not. The bad news is that it's very hard, but the good news is that nobody is doing it. So select a skill that you want to improve, block time in your calendar to work on that. When you're working, focus on nothing else but that project and track how many hours you do deliberate practice on a monthly basis. And see this discomfort as a good thing, the same way a bodybuilder would see muscle burn. Okay, let's go to the third secret. The third secret is patience. I know this doesn't seem like a secret. I know it might not be a sexy secret like the others, but it is what Kobe Bryant and Mr. Beast did, and it is one of the keys of how they achieved their greatness.
What was really your work ethic like, and for how long did you stay disciplined?
Well, I mean, every day. I mean, since 20 years. It was an everyday process.
I'm 14, 15 years in, and I've put so much of my life into this, and I've given up almost everything for this that it's almost like, yeah, I'm not as surprised because like this is all I've ever done.
And that is something that is also mentioned in the book, and specifically you need to acquire two skills. The first is to be able to do deliberate practice for years. Doing deliberate practice for 1 or 2 weeks is not what will make you achieve greatness. And the second is also important, which is not to get distracted. Without both of these, you won't become so good that they can't ignore you. However, I have a bonus tip for you, and I think this one is really helpful because the book is not only about success, but also about happiness. And there he explains the importance of control. So control over your work means that you can decide on what you work on, or where you work from, or when you work. And control is a key ingredient in achieving career satisfaction. And so let me explain this point with a story that comes from the book. It's about Lulu, who was a software tester. At the beginning, she had very few skills. So she got a job that was very boring with a lot of repetitive tasks. And she admitted that it was quite boring. This is where most people would quit and try to find another work. But she was different. She focused on trying to learn everything so that she can become more valuable. So she learned how to write software to automate the tests that she was doing. And this got her a lot of attention. And after a few years, she was promoted to senior QA engineer. And so she was responsible for other engineers. She continued to become better and better, and she got a great offer from a very big company to manage a large QA group. And that would have been a great promotion with more salary, more power, more prestige, but she turned it down. Instead, she took an offer to work for a 7-person startup that was founded by one of her friends. It was not as well paid as the other one, but since it was a smaller company, she had more control in this job. And so that made her happier, but she could also learn more in that role. And she did a great job in that company. The company at the end got acquired, and so after that, she became a freelancer. Since she was so good, she could even work less than 30 hours a week. So on the side, she did her pilot license. If the weather was nice a given day, she just could take the day off and go flying. This story shows the importance of control and that it can greatly increase your satisfaction with your work. And so your skills, the proof of your skills, and the relationships together are your career capital. And the better you get, the more career capital you have. And this career capital is like your currency to advance in your career. And so the more career capital you have, you can trade that for more promotions and more money. But actually, one of the points that is made in the book is that you shouldn't think of career capital only to advance in your career, but instead to shape your career as you desire. Yes, this can be getting more promotions towards increasingly challenging work and having more and more responsibility, but it's not the only option. As the story with Lulu demonstrates, your career capital can also be used to have more control over what or where or when you work from. And that also increases your work satisfaction and even creates love for your work, because part of the reason why you love something is because of what it gives you. Lulu loved her work because she was really damn good at what she did. And so she felt a lot of mastery and efficacy when she was working. But that enabled her not to work all the time, but instead also be able to have more control and be able to fly when she wants to. I think this is an inspiring story that can give you at least part of the motivation to become so good they can't ignore you. Alright, let's do a quick recap. If you want to become so good they can't ignore you, you first need to acquire a deep understanding of how to achieve success in your field. Try to understand which are the skills, proof, and relationships that matter to achieve success, but above all, focus on the skills. Identify in what market you are. Is it a winner-takes-all or an auction market? To decide if you want to specialize on one skill or achieve a combination of skills that makes you more valuable. Talk to people that are 2 or 3 steps ahead of you to find out what matters. Once you know what are the skills that matter, do deliberate practice to improve them. That's the way how you will be improving your skills way faster than anybody else. Engage in targeted, uncomfortable practice that includes feedback. Block time in your calendar to do this deliberate practice. Use 100% of your focus when you're practicing and track the monthly hours that you do this. See this discomfort as a good thing, the same way as you would see going to the gym. And lastly, be patient. Acquire the ability to do deliberate practice for years and not get distracted. As a bonus, think of the importance of control. Your skills, the proof of your skills, and your relationships, all of these 3 are your career capital. The better you are, the more career capital you have, and you can use it to shape your career as you desire, in a similar way that Lulu did. Those are the most important insights from the book to help you become so good they can't ignore you, and I definitely recommend reading it. I already did a summary of part 1 of the book, which you can find here, and if you found this video helpful, then give it a like and share it with a friend. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.